You are listening to the City Vent, proudly sponsored by the Westview Motor Company, supplying your new and used cars. Find us at westviewmotorcompany.co.uk. So hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the City Vent. My name's Adam and today I'm joined by Dec.
Hello.
And also a very special guest, as you can see, Gunnar Halle, ex-Bradford City, Oldham, Leeds United and Norway International. As you can tell, I put Bradford City first because that's obviously the most important to us. Maybe not Gunnar, but we'll find out in the next sort of 40 minutes or so. So thank you for joining us, first of all, and welcome.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you very much. So I think, first of all, we'd just like to find out where it all began for you in football, when you realised you were good enough to play at a decent level and, you know, just your story first.
Yeah, I think I started when I was young, probably from 7, 8 years old. And then I did also athletic, I did handball. But I think when I was more or less 14, 15, then I started to do more football and left athletic and handball. So and then I decided to go to another club in where I live, in Larvik. And I joined then like a senior team when I was 15. And then it's really went on from then. And then then I played every year. And I also went to, after 3 years in my hometown, I went to Lillestrøm. I was there for nearly 6 years. Then obviously I went to Oldham and stayed nearly 12 years in England, and then I went back and played a couple of years in Norway after that. And since when I finished in summer 2004 it was, I started in 2005 and also was coaching different clubs. Last 8 years I've been working with the Norwegian Football Federation, working with the youth national teams from the 15 to the 19. Also, I was involved a little bit with the women, the 23s. And now I just started. I finished there in 1st of January. So I started in a new club in Hønefoss, a team that is a little bit lower down in the league, but we're trying to, or we will aim for promotion and get higher up. So that's the what we want, really.
Are you in a player coach capacity, or are you? Have you hung up your boots completely now, Gunnar?
Yeah, not at the moment. I think I had 2 operations, one in April and on my knee, so that was not so good. And then it didn't work out, so I had one in 5-6 weeks ago. So, but it's a little bit better now. So hopefully in a couple of weeks I can, or maybe 4 weeks, I can join in training a little bit, maybe.
Interesting. I mean, Championship Manager is wrong, by the way, because it had you retiring. I've just recently started a save on a game from 2003, and you're not on the game. I really wanted to sign you ahead of today's interview, but it says you're retired on there. So Wikipedia and Football Manager will clearly need to do a little bit more work on the scouting. So I think Oldham's a good place to start. You spent a lot of time there. I think you've made over 200 appearances for them and had quite a good time at Oldham.
Yeah, obviously when I came over, I think that was a good start for me, and it was a small club really, but it was a family club, and Joe Roll was the manager, and I was brought into the team straight away. After I got my work permit, that was a little problem in the beginning, but I got my work permit, and then we got promoted to the Premier. We won the first division, or the old first, the new first division championship.
Yes.
So then we got promoted, and obviously I was there for nearly 6 years. So I had a really good time and really enjoyed it, and I think the town and the city was really good to me as well, and the supporters, and I really liked it there, and but for me it was I wanted to take the next step and maybe a new challenge. So when Leeds came in for me, I think that was a good time, Obviously, it didn't happen straight away because when I came, and more or less, I went up on a Sunday for a medical, and Leeds played on Saturday against Man United, and they lost. I think it was 4-0. So I went up on the medical on a Sunday, and everything was fine. And then I was coming back on Monday, and I got a phone call because I went into Oldham. I got my boots, and then said goodbye, and then I came home, and then the phone rang and said Wilkinson had been sacked, so the deal is off. So the next morning, I took my boots with me and got back to Oldham.
Wow, I didn't know that.
No, and then a few weeks later, then the deal went through, so that was good.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one. Because was that around 500,000, that transfer fee that was paid?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So it's quite a hefty fee back then.
Yeah, I mean, maybe at that stage it was a bit of money, but I think when you compare to today's transfer fees, it was nothing. But
very true. That's a weekly wage now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally is a weekly wage. It's crazy that when you think about it. I wonder what that would compare to in today's money. 500,000. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 20 million. Maybe you're a 20 million.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe 25. I think you can say.
Yeah, 25. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Obviously, at Leeds, things happened. You played in the team. Loved at Leeds as you are at Bradford, as you are at Oldham. You rarely get players that are loved at Leeds and Bradford. It's a strange one. But at Leeds, obviously, there was a bit of an incident you were involved with on an aircraft. Can you tell us a bit about that, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I think we played West Ham away on a Tuesday, and obviously we travelled down in a plane, and then we played in the evening, and then we was getting back to the airport, and then we obviously got on a plane, and then I think we said maybe after when all this happened that we smelled something, but we didn't take notice then, but. Obviously, when the plane was taking off, then we had heard a big bang in the motor, and then the engine was on fire. So that was quite dramatic, and but obviously the captain got us down. I think we were up in the air about 150 feet or something like that, and but he got us down straight away. So it was like when you think back on it, you felt it was like a film you were in when you see you're jumping out of the plane, and the plane is on fire in the engine there, and all the fire cars coming, and so it's, but I mean, people were screaming and running, and I think also the people who was working on the plane was screaming, so it was quite hectic, and but obviously everything went fine, but it was quite dramatic. Yes.
Luckily, nobody was injured as well, and I think that's obviously massive. And
I think it was only David O'Leary was injured, because when he was taking the emergency exit, the door, trying to get it open. We couldn't get it open, and I think he did his shoulder. So he was injured, but
wow.
No. So, but everybody got out. So in the end, everything was fine. But obviously, it could have, if we had to stay up in the air and land a little bit later, then it could have maybe been different.
You seem very laid back about it and very calm. To say that it's quite a dramatic experience, and I guess that maybe. You see that in your footballing ability as well. You seem like a very calm and composed footballer, and maybe you are in general life.
Yeah, but I don't think I was that calm when it happened, because I think everybody was. When we heard, when we saw the engine was on fire, then obviously, and we heard a bang, and then we didn't know what to expect and what was going to happen, and. But of course, I think after this happened, when you got on a plane again, obviously every time you went on a plane, you was sitting and listening, or if it's something wrong, or you can hear a bang. But at the moment, it took me a few years, but I'm fine going on a plane now. So that's yeah.
Yes, that was going to be my next question, really. Just if it's affected you, not moving forward with.
No, I mean it
flights
did
now,
it did in the beginning, but because obviously every time I went on a plane, I was thinking about it. But in the end, I think now I don't think that's fine.
Yeah. So picking up on Adam's point about you being very sort of laid back in a sense, how's that transferred to sort of your managerial career now? Are they still the same, or do the players not get away with so much?
No, I'm not so laid back then. I think I'm yeah. I mean, I'm probably calm as a person, but I think when you got on the sideline and you want to coach people, and then you're obviously into the game and into the trainings, and you want to win and you want to do well, and then you get involved, and so I'm probably not as calm then. I'm probably calmer when I was a player.
But a leader in the dressing room as well. I think I read a lot of articles about this, and you know, at Bradford, they called us the nursing home or something at one point because we had quite a lot of older players. But you were a leader in that dressing room, I believe, and we will get on to Bradford and speak about that. And just sort of how that came about, because Jeffrey Richmond, I believe, was who signed you, or can you tell us a bit about when you did sign for Bradford?
Yeah, obviously, I was my contract was up at Leeds, and then no, I had one more year, but then Bradford came in for me, and they wanted me, so obviously they got promoted. So I thought that was a good step as well, because yeah, the last part of the season at least I didn't play all the games, so I thought maybe when Bradford came in for me, they got promoted, and it was a big club and a good support, so I thought, yeah, why not? So I spoke to Paul Jewell and the staff there, and they really wanted me. So obviously we agreed the terms and everything. So that's yeah. Then I went to Bradford. So and I think that also was a good step for me. It was a club that. Yeah, got to the Premier League and was exciting for the fans and everything. So I think that was a good start for us.
And obviously, you don't have to answer this question, but there was talks at the time of contracts being offered out where houses were bought for players and all sorts of different weird and wonderful bonuses. Did anything like that happen with you? And
I didn't
did
get
you
a
actually
house.
meet Jeffrey?
I didn't get a house.
Didn't get a house.
No, I wish.
Speedboat? Anything like that?
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. So I think that probably was. I don't know if that happened, but obviously they're trying to, or we sign players for bigger money, of course, than they had done before. So, but I think also the second season that we got players in on good money, and but I don't know if they got a house or whatever. I'm not sure about that.
There's been all sorts of tales on the deck about players. I think Carbone is probably the name that I'm thinking of. That
yeah, he probably got a car, I think.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dec.
Yeah, so I just the question I had really was the fans for both Leeds and Bradford. They're obviously very divided on a normal day to day, but you were sort of one of them players that everyone just loved, and there was no sort of bad blood when you joined Bradford from Leeds. What's that sort of feeling for you when you've obviously been a big rival and then joined Bradford and then to be loved by all the fans? How's that sort of translate to you?
Obviously, that feels good.
Yeah.
No, but I think my style of play was that I was giving more or less everything in every game and every. So I think that they saw that, and so I always had good connection with the supporters, and so for me that was obviously it's nice when you go to another club and you come back to the club you've been before, and give you a round of applause. I think that's really nice. So not every place you go to, you do that. But so I think that's I don't know. I think that was maybe be the case, that I done a good job, and they respected that, and
I guess you didn't leave in bad terms at Leeds, and I think that's probably one of the things. It wasn't a fallout. It was one of those things like your contract was coming to an end, and obviously we saw an opportunity and bought you, and it wasn't like one of these other signings. Like I guess the Rio Ferdinand signing around the similar time when he went from Leeds to Man United, that wasn't met with great applause by Leeds fans, I don't think. But it was a little bit different with you, and I guess is that because of you as a person, or I don't know.
No, but I think it's maybe it is as well. But I think I didn't do anything wrong. I think at Leeds, and so I think that's they respected me there. And then when obviously I went to the neighbors, and I think they also see that I can do well there, and they thought that maybe it was a good move for me as well, and. So in that respect, I think I'm obviously pleased that they felt that way for me, and it's always good to come back to both all the clubs I've been to, really.
And so we're at Bradford now. I think you can quote me on this one, but it says on Wikipedia that you had 88 appearances, I think, and 1 goal at Bradford. Is that about right?
Probably right. I'm not that good in how many games I played, but. I should have probably scored more goals.
Yeah, maybe. But 88 games is probably about right over 2 seasons.
Yeah, probably.
So
Yeah.
We'll give them that one. The facts haven't been great so far, but we'll take that one. So the 1 goal that you scored, can you remember it? Can you remember the moment and what game it was in? And I'm going to challenge you on it now.
Not really.
No. Neither do I. But I just wondered if you could remember it, because obviously it's such a long time ago. It's over 20 years ago now. But yeah, I think sometimes you remember, but hopefully you'll remember this particular moment, because you did get an assist for a very important goal for Bradford. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I think it must be the Liverpool.
Absolutely,
game.
yeah. So swung a free kick in, and David Weatherall obviously got the header. How did it feel going into that game, knowing there was so much on the line?
No, I think we had what should I say? We were in trouble for the last few games, and obviously we had I think it was Wimbledon. We played we had a Leicester game before, I think, and then we played Wimbledon. We really needed to win that as well, and Wimbledon needed to win, so that was a tough game as well. And we also played against. We had this Drillo, who was the coach. Who was also my coach in the national team later. So that was always nice to beat him and the team. And I think that was a tough game against Wimbledon. And we beat them. And obviously when we lost again, I think it was Leicester. And then obviously we went into the last game against Liverpool. So we knew that we had to get a result. So. And I think that's maybe sometimes better, that you know that you need to have a result, instead of maybe you need a draw, then you maybe sit back a little bit. But we needed a good result, so we knew that. And of course against Liverpool, that's not easy. So no, I think that was fantastic, and the atmosphere before the game and during the game and after the game was obviously fantastic. So and I also remember that. I had a free kick, but also I cleared one from the line, I think. And I think maybe that was as important.
That's a goal in itself. It really is. Yeah. I think the thing about that game as well is Liverpool actually really needed to win it as well. It wasn't like a damn squib for them. They needed to win to get into Europe, I think. So there was so much on the line, and there was so much tension. But luckily we came out of it with the win. Do you remember the celebrations after?
I can't remember exactly what happened in the dressing room or out on the pitch, but I know it was a lot of people around, and so I mean that was fantastic. So no, I can't remember exactly. It was everything was wild, I think.
Yeah. Rightly so as
Can
well.
imagine.
A lot of alcohol consumed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on to sort of one of the players that you played with then at Bradford, so Stuart McCall.
Yeah.
So there was a famous fight between him and Andy Myers, we believe. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? I see you smiling a little bit there as well.
Obviously we played at Ellen Road then, so I mean it was I think we were 2-0 down or something like that, or 3-0 down. In the first half, and obviously Stuart and Andy was not happy with each other, or I think Stuart was not happy with Andy that I don't know if he followed his man or something like that, and then they were screaming to each other, and then then they got up in his face, or Andy got up his Stuart's face, and then they more or less headbutted each other. So then obviously we have to get them apart. So I mean that was probably not the right way to do it, but I think it was tension and everything, and they were we were losing, and obviously the tension was there, and but I remember also in the dressing room then there was a few words said in the dressing room, so it was not quiet in that at that halftime. So,
was the bottles thrown everywhere and boots all over the place, or was it more just verbals?
Yeah, but I think obviously it's difficult for the manager when things like that happen, and obviously we should be a team that work for each other, not going at each other. So, but obviously that happens sometimes, and but that shows that we want to win, and we want a result. So, but maybe it was not the right way to do it.
I'm glad that you avoided
Oh,
speaking
sorry.
about the opponent. No, it's fine. I'm just saying I'm glad you avoided speaking about the opponent in that particular match. We don't want to talk about the result and how that ended up. I'm sure you know who it is. But yes, Dec, sorry to put in there.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, it shows the passion that obviously the whole team had. Like you say, it's not probably the right way to go about it, but it shows that they were all there for a fight and always up for it, which is always
but I think also, I mean, we played against Leeds, obviously, the neighbours and everything. So I mean, that was maybe something as well that, made it happen. I think, and obviously when you're losing, then things is always easier to do things.
Yeah.
And did it carry on after? So obviously the fallout on the pitch between Myers and Stuart McCall, or did they kiss and make up quite quickly?
I can't remember. I think more or less in every club I've been to, it's when things like that happen. Things can happen in training. You're fighting and screaming at each other. But I think the good thing especially I think in English football, they square up when the game is finished or the training is finished. Then we go from there, and then the next time it's fine. So I don't think that, as I remember, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that affected us after that. No.
Maybe it's only Roy Keane that takes things on and carries on with it and doesn't forget.
He still takes it on. So
Did you play against? You played against Roy Keane, of course.
Yeah, I played against him. Yes.
Is that internationally as well? Because I know I want to speak about your international career.
Yeah, I mean we played it. Yeah, I think he played it in one of the international I played. Yeah, I think so. So, but obviously I played against him a few times. So I mean he's a tough one, and I know Alfie knows he's a tough one.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was asking you. And obviously Haaland's what a talent at Man City. And do you know him personally as well, Haaland? Is he like a family friend through Alfie? Or?
Yeah, obviously I played with Alfie, and obviously his son was I knew Erling. So and obviously I've been following here in Norway and also with the national teams. We knew he was a good player, but not as good as he is now. Nobody thought that, I think. So that's something special, and nobody expected that he should be scoring goals for fun, more or less. So, but he's been doing fantastic, and really good.
It's an exciting time for the national team because you've got a lot of talent in there. So obviously Odegaard's probably one of the best players in the Premier League this season. Unbelievable. So, you guys in '94 were the first I think it was since 1936 or something to get to the World Cup.
Mhm.
And obviously you played in the 2 World Cups. What is it like to play in a World Cup?
No, I think especially in '94 that when we qualified, I think that's was a long time since Norway been there. So I think that was something special. And so to play in there, I mean everything is well organized, and you play against the top teams. So that's something special. And also in '98, so that's. Obviously, nice to be a part of a team that qualified, and so at the moment, I think we need to qualify again soon.
Yeah, fingers
Because
crossed.
I think we have
maybe not at England's expense like you did in '94 though, because that did happen.
Yeah, I know, and I think that when we had England in the qualifying group, and I think that was probably two of the most. What should I say? Two of the games I remember really from my career. That especially the one in Oslo when we beat them, and also at Wembley. But it was always nice to come back to England then after the win.
I bet. So then we mentioned goals earlier. So there was a particular fixture internationally where you, I believe, scored a hat-trick.
Yeah, I mean it was a strong opponent, San Marino. So it's, but anyway, we have scored 3 goals. So that's that will stand in the books. So no, I mean we won 10-0, and that's not often that you win that many goals. And so it's always nice to score goals. And I will still remember that one.
And who's the best footballer you'd say that you've played against in your career? Because obviously you've played against the top pros.
I mean, it's many players. I mean, we played against.
Is anybody that give you an absolute nightmare on that left-hand side? Maybe in the Premier League days, or?
Yeah, I think obviously it was difficult to play against Giggs because he went left and right, and but I also thought against Ginola he was good.
Yes.
So, but and Di Canio, I had a bad half against him. So
was that the interesting game that ended up 5-4?
So I mean, it's been a lot of good players. I mean, you can have wingers, you can have strikers you played against, but I think there's so many you can name.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yes, then from your career, though, I suppose that leads on. So, have you got any funny stories that you can share with us?
Funny stories. Yeah, I mean, I when I came to England, obviously, when I came to Oldham, I think my first because before I got my work permit, I played for the second team. In the reserves, and I think we played at Preston, and that was in December or January it was, I think. And then it was probably -2 or something, snowing, and I brought my shirt from Norway to put underneath my playing shirt, and and I don't think I didn't do it the next time because the players said they thought I was from Norway, so I should be tougher than that. So I didn't put it on next time. So I thought it was cold there, but I didn't put it on after that.
Well, I mean, talking about Norway, what are the temperatures? You were mentioning this before I came on, but you're -15, I think you said, of late.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment it's not so cold, but I mean, it's still snow outside, and it's been, last week it was -15. So, and up in the mountains, it's a lot of snow at the moment, but down here in Oslo, it's not so much.
Because we complain in England about the cold, and we don't know how lucky we are. It's warm, really, here.
It's really warm. Yeah, you shouldn't complain.
Is there any sort of memories that stand out at Bradford City? Anything that you can remember that sort of stood out to you as a pivotal moment in your career when you played at Bradford, or anywhere?
No, but I think obviously the first season when you stayed up, and the Liverpool game, and also when we went on the bus in the city after. I mean, it was unbelievable that many people was out in the streets. I don't know how many who was there, but it was a lot, and that I was always remember that, and I think that was a new challenge for me, a new club, and you met and played with new players and different type of players, and I think one thing I remember was with Peter Beagrie. When he played, when we gave him the ball, he wanted to dribble. He didn't want to give the ball away or to somebody else.
Didn't want to give it back.
So he thought he was, or when he was tried to get across in, he just went back on his other foot, and he went back again, and so I think it was after a few games I said to him that at half time that you need to put the cross in. You can't go back and forwards all the time. And then he was not really happy with me, and so we had an argument there. But after that, I think we were really good friends. So that was I remember that one still.
You're just like a normal football fan, because that's what we do week in, week out. We just screaming, cross the ball, just get it in the box. That's all we want. So yeah. We're with you on that one, Gunnar, for sure.
Yeah, but he did well as well, so he was so good.
He was a great player. And the backflips and the acrobatics, fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. So was that in training then when you said that to him, or was that sort of in the game?
No, that was half-time at the game, yes.
Half-time.
So, yeah. So, but I think, we had other good players, and also Benito Carbona. I think when he came, in the summer, he signed, and obviously he came with his Italian suit, and we went up in the military for a team building, and we were putting the military clothes on and running in the what should I say, in the mud. And he didn't want to do that. He said, why should I be here and sleep in a bad bed and eating shit food? So he said he didn't want to go out. So he was supposed to train football, not doing this. So I think he didn't come out with us every time, but in the end he came out, and then he did it. So but he was a good player, so I really enjoyed playing with him, and he had a good understanding and a fantastic player.
No, that's brilliant. So then, leading on to the training ground. So obviously, Benito Carbone, as you said, turns up in his suit. What was it? What was Appley Bridge like as a training ground? Because there's mixed reviews now with it, obviously.
Yeah, I must say that it was not the best training ground. I think the pitches was not as good as they should be. But obviously we trained there, and we didn't complain too much. But I think at that stage, I think they should have done better with the pitches, and the quality was not good enough. So, and I think they knew that, but and they were also looking at that time to get something else, somewhere else to train. But so it was not the best training facilities, I must say. I think they're a little bit better at the moment now.
Yeah, I mean, it looks better when they take the videos at the training ground and the pictures and stuff. It looks much better than it used to be, because I think it was a bit like a potato field when you were playing. I mean, in talking about Bradford, when you played for Bradford, did you live here or did you live in Leeds, or where were you based?
No, I lived between Oldham and Rochdale, really. So so I didn't move up. No.
I always find that an interesting question, to see if people live here or not, because it's not the most appealing of areas, and we live here, so we're allowed to say that about where we live. So I always like to see if footballers, did move here or not. But no, that's totally
no.
fine.
But I think it was not so far away to travel anyway. So it actually was further to Leeds. So when I joined Bradford, then it was not as far away. So it was not. It took me 35 minutes. So it was not too bad.
It's not a bad commute at all.
And sometimes the motorway was not as good, a lot of traffic, so then it took a little bit longer.
That's it. And talking about your time at City again, and player-wise, who did you sort of buddy up with in the squad? Was it Klaus mainly that you were sort of friends with, or was there anybody else?
No, but I think it's obviously when when he came from Leeds as well. Robert Molenaar was there. Yeah, and I think we had a good bunch of players, and I think we joined in good together. Yeah, you had Jamie, who was maybe a little bit a character in there. So
yeah, we've had him on, so we've heard some stories from Jamie. Yeah, he's definitely not afraid of sharing what went on in those days.
No, good.
Yeah, it was really good to have on. To be fair, wasn't it, Dec? So yeah, good character.
Yeah, it was a great one. That. So then that sort of rounded up your time at Bradford. Obviously, there was a certain Jeffrey Richmond who was in charge of the club at the time. I'm just wondering if you'd be open to sharing your opinion on sort of what went on and how everything, and sort of as him as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when I came, I met him, and obviously I heard he was the big boss with the money. So, and he put some money in, and yeah, I mean, before I left, obviously it was big trouble in the club with financial wise. So that was one part that I went on loan to Wolverhampton in the end as well, because they were struggling, and yeah. So but hopefully now they can go forward, and it's been a few years that it's been a little bit difficult, I think, and but at the moment I think they are doing quite good. So maybe
it's the Bradford way. We've struggled for years. Obviously, we've got Mark Hughes as a manager. Yeah. Did you play against Mark Hughes?
Yeah, I played against him. I think one thing I remember that we played in the semi-final at Wembley with Oldham, and we were leading 1-0, and then he scored. I think it was 3 minutes before the end on a half volley from 18 yards. So then there was a replay, and then obviously we lost. So then we didn't get to the final. So I remember Mark Hughes, yes.
Good player. Good player to play against.
Yeah, very good player. So
yeah.
So hopefully he can have success with the club now. So I mean, he's been managing a lot of clubs, so hopefully he can get them up again.
Fingers crossed. Have you ever sent a cheeky CV across to Bradford for the manager job or anything like that? Would you ever fancy it?
No, I haven't done that, but maybe I should do.
Maybe so.
Yeah, they have changed a lot of managers, so maybe I should do that.
Would you be up for managing in England in general, or are you quite happy in Norway? Because I'm sure you've got family and you may be quite settled as to where you are, but would you ever fancy it?
Yeah, I think of course you always can look to go to a good club, and I was nearly going with Ove Røsler to Leeds United when he was there. Obviously he didn't stay that long, but yeah, at the moment I'm enjoying my time in Norway now with the clubs and what I've been doing here. So I have to stay with my girlfriend here now.
Don't let you go far, eh? Don't be disappearing. And so are you the manager then? So we didn't really ask you too much about where you are now. Are you the manager or assistant, or what's the
I'm the manager. So yeah, it's not a big club, but they were obviously in the top league a few years ago. So they know they're aiming to get up again. So and get promoted. So hopefully in 2 or 3 years we can climb up and be maybe in the championship or something like that. So hopefully. So we try to build a team and get some new players in, and so that's a little bit different from what I've been doing the last 8 years, because it's different when you work with the national teams. It's obviously you have tournaments, go abroad for a week or 10 days, and then you play 3 or 4 games, and then you have a few weeks that you didn't do anything, or you go and watch players. And but no, obviously it's a normal day, and you train every day more or less, and then it's more normal for what you are used to before.
Yeah, so you mentioned there you're on sort of looking at promotion as well, which is good.
Sorry?
You mentioned earlier that you're sort of looking at promotion this year.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean that's our aim. The club, they want to win, and they want to get promoted. They want to get up again. So hopefully we can do that. It will be difficult, I know, but if we get the right players in now, and we start in April, so hopefully we can make that happen.
They'll be in the Champions League before we know it, Dec.
Yeah,
They'll be in the Champions
so.
League playing against Leeds or Man United or something. I just guess the last question from me is, what's the highlight of your career as a player? I think is the question I'd like to ask. What's the key moment?
I think it's obviously when with the national teams, it's always. I always remember the England games because I played quite well in these two games, so I remember that. So. But of course, when I came to England as well, and I think also with Oldham, and also Leeds and Bradford. So I think you have a lot of good memories, and I enjoyed my stay. All the clubs I've been to, and I mean they've been looking good after me as well, and I had a good relationship to the supporters and also the staff and the people who works in the club. So it's always nice to come back, but of course it's when you come back now, it's not as many people left in the club.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, isn't it now? Like 20 years have gone by and things have changed. But I mean, maybe we'll see you as a guest again. I think you did come back a couple of years ago as a dinner guest at Bradford. So
yeah, we did.
We'll see you again.
So no, we will try and get back, and then I will come and watch a game again. Definitely.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to see you. But just like to thank you very, very much for agreeing to come on and speaking to us. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're an absolute gentleman, so thank you for coming on. And,
yeah, no problem.
Wish you all the best, and hopefully you get promoted. Can you just say the name of your teams? Because I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that want to follow what happens.
It's Hønefoss. It's difficult to pronounce, but yeah.
Right, we'll have a look afterwards. I'll find it.
Yeah.
In fact, if you can message us, I'll put it out on Twitter so people can have a look at it and follow it, because I'm sure people will definitely be interested for sure.
No problem. So now, thanks for coming on, and then I wish the club and you a good rest of the season. So hopefully we can climb up the table again.
Yeah, together, Bradford City in partnership. Thank you very much. Take care.
Okay,
thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye.